Hello, I'm James Tobin. I'm a clarinetist here in Charlottesville, Virginia, and I'm going to discuss how to play the Lower Winds District 13 Prepared Etude for the junior division, the middle school. And right at the outset, I think the thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play it for you, and then we'll discuss details in like every two measures section that you should concentrate on as you're working on it for your December 8th audition. So let's listen to what 96 beats a minute sounds like. Okay, it's a little brisk. There we go, from beginning to end, the etude as it has been printed and asked for. So one of the very first things you should do is you should make sure, as a low reed player, you should make sure that you start at a tempo where you're really comfortable with the 16th notes. So instead of working at it at 96 beats per minute, I'm going to bop this down to something more like 70. That way the 16th notes, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and are a little bit more manageable for the fingers. So in the first two measures, for bass clarinet especially, I see there's kind of two things here. The thing for bass clarinetists is to make sure that you get from the A down to the C and back up to the A smoothly. That's concentrating all the fingers arriving together. For everybody, it's about the first two 16th notes being in time. And a 1, and a 1. And making sure that you breathe and play so that you place the 16th notes. Ba-da-da. Very often, we look at pickup notes like they belong in some type of other time or they're in another measure. We don't really establish the beat until we get to the first full measure. So you have to make sure the beat is established in your mind. Ba-da-da-da. And that is probably the most important two things in the first two measures. You obviously can give it some shape. It says mezzo forte, but you aren't limited to mezzo forte. I hope that you noticed when I did the playthrough that I added crescendos and diminuendos to make the music expressive wherever I thought was appropriate, and so should you. And your crescendos and diminuendos should be whatever you think, not what I think. In measure 3, we have 16th notes. We get to play it softly, and I think it's important to make sure also that the tonguing is clear. Especially the rhythm being clear on the fourth beat of measure 3, where we have the dotted eighth and the 16th, that the dotted eighth is really 3 16th notes long, and the 16th note is 1 16th note long. It's really important to make sure that we keep that 16th note in our head so that the rhythms come out right. In measure 5 and 6, we get a largely lyrical section that's not too difficult to play. We do have a syncopation in measure 6. A syncopation is a rhythm that makes the downbeat a little unclear. So in measure 6, we may not have seen this rhythm a lot yet. So it's counted 1 and it seems a little bit weird, especially because we have to sustain that word and for 2.5 beats. But that is the rhythm, with the quarter note starting on the second half of beat 1 and going through the first half of beat 2. 1 and. And normally that quarter note will have an accent. In this case, it doesn't, so it's going to be a little bit of a choice for you. We're going to see later in measure 11 that the syncopated notes do have accents. Here are 5 and 6 together. In measure 7 and 8, again, a largely easy lyrical section. Okay, a little more tonguing than some measures. And again, we have the dotted 16th at the end of the measure. We would like it to have great rhythm and be very clear. In measures 9 and 10, we get kind of the only little technical section that we have of the piece. We need to be really comfortable with the 1 and a 2 rhythm, which we have 2 times. 1 and a 2, 3 and a 4. And in this section as well, the accents are really important. So that we have a little push of air with our wind to create the accent. An accent isn't a note that we tongue hard or move our jaw or do something forceful. It's just a push of wind. It looks like a diminuendo. It should be treated like one. If you get in the habit of accenting by blowing a push of air and tonguing hard, you increase your risks of squeaking, and a squeak in an audition is no big deal. Don't even think about it. But in the grand scheme of things, if we practice an accent being a push of wind, that diminuendos, we're going to be less likely to squeak. Measures 11, 12, we have the syncopation from measure 6 extended by 1 beat. So measure 6 is 1 and measure 11 is 1 and 4 and 1. And it's really helpful if this is a new rhythm for you or you're confused about the rhythm to say it out loud. You can repeat it with me in the video. And to play it just on one note. By playing it on one note, you eliminate the concern to move your fingers. You can really concentrate on the rhythm. In measure 13 and 14, we're in the home stretch here. You are absolutely crossing the finish line. We get a crescendo from the softest spot in the piece so far to loud and get to really project. And of course, we're going to sustain that last note for longer than 4 beats because there's a fermata there and we're supposed to hold it. Now, how long should you hold it? Well, I mean, if you can, longer than 4 beats. 8 beats? No, because then the judges will know that you're just playing a prank on them. 4.5, 5. If you're going to run out of air, yeah, go ahead and stop. Yep, it'd be better to stop than to pass out, okay? So here's the last 2 measures of our piece. No passing out, just sustaining a note nice and long. I couldn't help but diminuendo a little bit at the end. That's because it makes me happy. You don't have to. You get to choose how you wish to play these notes. So the notes and the rhythms and the slurs and the dynamic levels that are printed are things that you've been given, and you get to add on to that. But most importantly, start at a tempo that it feels easy. Do lots of reps of it being easy, and give yourself a chance to really learn it. And then as you get into like the final week, take a lot of time to run it from beginning to end without stopping for any reason. It doesn't matter whether your first measure has 3 mistakes in it. Just keep on going so you get used to the feeling of ignoring mistakes and playing to the end in that last week. If you have any questions, please email me, and thank you for listening.